Hello there, it's Christian Younger with Kaizen Automotive Consulting, bringing you more best automotive practices. In this edition, I'm going to teach you the number one question to ask when you're closing your car deal, and I'm going to give you 5 ways to transition into that closing question that's going to make you a lot more professional, it's going to make it a lot more powerful close, and it's going to make it a lot more personalized to your guest. Now, if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to give you a bonus 6 transition to move into your closing question that comes from a fellow colleague in the automotive training business, Jeremiah Shelton. Now, if this is your first time to our channel and you want to improve your automotive selling skills, learn how to use psychology to close more car deals, and receive unbiased dealership vendor product and service reviews, make sure you subscribe and then turn on the bell so you never miss out on learning anything new. Okay then, let's get to work. If you're familiar with our channel, you may remember that we've recently put out a 5-part video series called The Best Questions a Car Salesperson Should Ask. And I'll go ahead and leave you a link to that 5-part video series above. But as a review, we said that the best type of closing question a salesperson could ask is an either-or question. Now, an either-or question is just simply you ask the question and then supply all the answers. Now, in the automotive business, we want to go ahead and ask either-or questions for investigating for needs and wants. We want to use either-or questions at times to control the sale or control the deal. We want to use them to set appointments, and it's actually your best closing question. Now, there's 2 broad areas or 2 subjects that we use to bring our either-or questions and supply those answers, and those particular areas are refreshments, and then we also ask questions from the area of title and registration. So let me give you an example. Now, as far as refreshments go, when we get done asking for the sale, we get to the point where we want to ask for the sale, we just simply say, hey, do you want a pop, water, or maybe a coffee while we finish up the paperwork? Or we might say to them, hey, how did you want to register this in 1 name or 2? Joe or Joseph, Bill or William? Now, the reason why we ask that type of a question is because we're asking a minor question that carries with it a major decision. And we said that it makes it a lot easier and takes a lot of stress out of asking a big closing question like yes or no, do you want to spend $60,000 on a truck? Now that you know the best type of question that you could ask to close a car deal, let's talk about how we can improve on the way to ask that question or how we lead into the question and get a little more power, professionalism, and personalization to that closing question. Now, to do this, let's go ahead and talk about the 5 steps in handling an objection. Now, we did that series a couple weeks ago, and again, I'll leave the link above for that one. However, as a quick review, when we're handling an objection, after we ask a question or we ask somebody to purchase the vehicle, times we'll get objections. The 5-step objection handling process goes like this. Number 1, the first thing we have to do is listen and agree with the guest. Hey, I get where you're coming from. I understand. If I was in your situation, I'd probably feel the same way. Okay, so we're going to listen and agree. The second thing we're going to do is clarify. I understand what you're saying here. It sounds like you want to get a little bit more money for the trade. Am I right? Then you're going to clarify. Other than us getting some more money for the trade, do you see any of the reason we couldn't do business together today? If they tell us yes, then we're going to go ahead and move to step 4, which is justify. So we're going to use some type of a close to overcome the objection. And then finally, we're going to close. So what I'm getting at is this. Anytime we move from the justification step over to the close, we're switching. We're switching our train of thought, and we're switching the questions and what we're asking and statements that we're making. And because of that, at times when you move from that justification over to the closing question, there can be kind of this uncomfortable moment, this uncomfortable pause. And we don't want to have that. Now, let me give an example. I'm going to just go ahead and go through a close. And we'll use I want more for my trade. I think that I should at least get my payoff for my trading. So that close would go something like this. Folks, I understand you'd like to get a little more for your trade. It sounds like you guys would like to get closer to payoff for your trade. Am I right? You know what? I've met with a lot of guests in the past, and they were kind of thinking like you. They were thinking until they learned that the trade and the payoff, they're not really connected like you might think. Let me give you a couple examples to explain. Now, let's say that you had a payoff of $5,000 and that your vehicle was professionally appraised for $10,000. Well, you'd still want the $10,000 that your trade's actually worth, wouldn't you? So if we went the other way and you had a payoff of $13,000, your vehicle would still be worth $10,000, am I wrong? So while the trade and the payoff, while they're related, the value of one doesn't really affect the other. So unless I'm missing something, this is the fair market value for your vehicle. Do you guys want a pop water or coffee while we finish up the paperwork? Now you see that works. That works. I went ahead and just moved from, so unless I'm missing something, that is the fair market value for your vehicle. And then I moved right over to an either or closing question. And it does work, especially if my justification's sound. However, let's talk about how we can give it a little bit more pop, okay? So I'm going to give you a couple different examples that can be used in any situation, and I'm going to give you 3 others that can be used in more specific situations. However, you could use them in most situations as well. And then finally, I'll give you that 6th bonus from Jeremiah Shelton, okay? This first one's a terrific go-to that can be used in just about any situation. To provide some context, I'm going to pick it up from the last line on that payoff close. So, unless I'm missing something, that is the fair market value for your vehicle. Bill, let me ask you a question. You do like the truck, don't you? You know, crazy idea, but why don't we just put all this shopping behind you and get you out of here? That way you can start enjoying your new truck. We're going to register it in your name, Bill, or you're going to go ahead and register it in William. And then bam, now we've just professionally added a lot more punch to that close. Now this second transitional closing statement that you can make is going to help you in any situation as well. And interestingly enough, I was recently reading Jordan Belfort's book, The Way of the Wolf. And this particular closing statement covers 3 areas that he talks about in this book that a guest needs to be certain about before they'll purchase. And those 3 areas are the product, so in this case the car, truck, van, SUV. The other area of certainty is the salesperson. They need to be assured this salesperson's trustworthy and reputable. And then lastly is the company. So in this case, the dealership, and it'd be the dealership's reputation and their standing in the community. So again, as I said, this particular statement covers all 3 of those areas. So let me just go ahead and show it to you, and then you'll be able to see that it does cover those 3 particular areas. We'll pick up right from that payoff objection that we handled, where we said, now unless I'm missing something, folks, this is the fair market value for your vehicle. You know what? It sounds to me like you're just trying to make sure you're getting a good deal. Am I right? Yeah, isn't a good deal getting a car you like at a price you can afford from people in a place that'll take care of you after the sale as well? You know what? Why don't we go ahead and put this shopping behind you? Did you want to go ahead and title it in Bill, or you want to title it in William? Bam! We've just gone ahead and added a lot more punch to that closing statement or that closing question. Now this 3rd transitional statement that helps you move into your close is terrific when you've got a guest that's looking at a vehicle that's maybe just got a little bit higher payment than they were hoping for, maybe even a lot higher payment they were hoping for. So it works really well in those situations. Let me perform it for you. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up right from that last statement that I made on the payoff close. So it'd go like this. So unless I'm missing something, this is the fair market value for your vehicle. Folks, I know this payment's higher than you guys were hoping for, but you know what? That's why you ought to get it. Because the reason the payment's higher is it's got all the equipment that you guys wanted. And because it's got everything that you guys need, you're going to keep it longer. And not only will you guys enjoy the vehicle a lot more during the whole ownership period, the fact that you're going to keep it longer actually helps spread out the cost of the vehicle over time, making it more affordable. You know what? Let's get this thing wrapped up. You want your payments to start in 30 days from now or 45 days from now? Bam! We've just gone ahead and personalized this. We knew that the guest was on a vehicle that had a little bit higher payment than they wanted, so we actually addressed it head on and explained to them why they still should get the vehicle. Powerful, right? Now, one of the reasons I really like this one so much is it adds some logic to an emotional moment. I mean, the guests, they're concerned that they may be making some emotional knee-jerk reaction because they obviously love the vehicle. However, they don't want to strap themselves and pay too much. So all you're doing is reminding them about a situation, hopefully that they've had occur in their life, where they've maybe gone ahead and stepped up and bought the higher quality service or product, and it ended up paying off in the long run. When I became a sales manager, I decided it was time for an upgrade in my wardrobe. So I went out and bought some new suits, new shirts, ties, and I also bought a brand new pair of shoes. Now, they were nice shoes. They were a little bit better shoes than I had purchased in the past. However, they were $100. They were quality shoes, but not the nicest ones on the market. Now, Those shoes, I wore them for 2 years before they wore out. So they actually cost me what? $50 a year. $100 divided by 2 years. Now, after those shoes wore out, a tip from one of my coworkers were to buy Allen Edmonds shoes. Higher quality shoe, a lot more expensive though. Now those shoes cost me $300. However, those shoes, I could wear them for at least 10 years, possibly even longer, before they'd start to wear out. And then I could actually take them back to Allen Edmonds and have them refurbished for a certain amount of money, and then I would extend the life of those shoes. Now I've got a pair of those shoes. They roughly average lasting me around 10 years, let's say. Now, truthfully, some of them have lasted much longer. But let's just make the math easy by saying 10 years. So a $300 pair of Allen Edmonds shoes divided by 10 years is what? Yeah, I heard somebody out there say it's $30 a year. So not only did I pay less per year for those shoes, I actually had a higher quality, better shoe that made me feel better about myself, more confident, and made me look a lot more professional. So I think if you could explain that to your customer, if they don't already understand that and they've never been through one of those experiences, maybe relating that type of statement and then following it up with that type of a story if they're not understanding or if they're still not going to go ahead and close on your car deal. Now this fourth transitional closing statement adds a lot of power and pop when you're looking at a new vehicle. And specifically when the guest has maybe purchased for the last, say, 10, 15 years a particular make. Let's say they buy brand X. I can say it, Ford, Chevy. Let's say they buy Fords. And now they're going to move over and buy a Honda Pilot for the first time, or a Honda. And they've never purchased a Honda. Now, statistics say that people on about 60% on average purchase that same make over. They keep repeating those same purchases over. If it was a successful purchase, then they're probably going to go ahead and purchase it again. And if they're moving over to a different make, there's a little bit of trepidation. They may be a little nervous moving over. So you can make them feel a little bit better, and you can also add a little bit more power and pop to your closing question by just stating it this particular way. Hey, Bill, you know what? With the way this Honda Pilot drives and Honda's track record for dependability and quality, I think the only regret you're going to have on this new Honda Pilot is you didn't pull the trigger a little quicker. Do you want to go ahead and get a pop or a water, and we'll go ahead and finish up the rest of this paperwork? Bam! Now you've gone ahead and closed this. Now this fifth closing transition statement you want to pull out when you're working with a guest who's been shopping for a long period of time. They've either expressed to you verbally or maybe non-verbally that they're kind of worn out. They'd like to end this process, and you know they want to get it over with. Or it could be a situation where the guest had a lot of objections. You've maybe had to answer 4 or 5 different objections, and there's been a lot of back and forth, and maybe it's a little heated. So it works really well in those situations whenever you've got a guest that is either worn out, want to get this over with, or is maybe a little upset. So let's pick it up from that payoff objection, where we say to the guest this. You know what, unless I'm missing something, Bill, this is the fair market value for your vehicle. Now, based on what you guys told me, this really does seem like it's the perfect vehicle for you guys. I mean, seriously now, why don't we just put all this shopping and aggravation behind you, that way we can get this stress out of your life and get you on to enjoying your new vehicle. Did you guys want to go ahead and title it in both your names, or only one of you going to be on the title this time? Now you've gone ahead and addressed that it's been kind of a long drawn out situation, and you're telling the guest, hey, look, you've done your due diligence, let's just get this over with. And really, truthfully, most people want to. I mean, time is our most precious commodity. We can't ever get more of it back once we use it. And so the guest does want to go ahead and go home. I'm sure they'd like to get this over with. So it works really well in those particular situations. I do want to thank you so very much for hanging out to the very end. And as a bonus, I want to give you that 6th transitional closing statement that you can make that comes from another automotive trainer, Jeremiah Shelton. Now, Jeremiah and I were talking about filler words, words that really are used that shouldn't be used. And one of those words we talked about was, does that make sense? Now, Harvard Business Review says don't use does that make sense as a filler word at the end of a statement. And the reason for that is because it goes ahead and actually creates a lot of doubt in the person's mind that you're speaking with. They're wondering, does this person that's speaking to me not think they conveyed this properly because they're asking me if it makes sense? Or do they just think I'm not smart enough to be able to understand what they just told me? So stay away from that one. Now, for Jeremiah's number 6 transitional closing statement, All he does is use three simple words, and this is universal as well. It can be used in any situation. Those three simple words are, can you see? Can you see? Three words. Now, what you do is at the very end of that statement, can you see, you just go ahead and repeat what you just had said. So let's say, for instance, you were showing a guest an extended service agreement. So at the very end, you would say, can you see how that extended service agreement is going to go ahead and give you peace of mind throughout the whole ownership of this vehicle? You guys want to pop water or coffee while we finish up the rest of the paperwork? So that's how you could use can you see. And can you see could be used just about any time. If we kind of go ahead and we'll take it from that payoff objection that we've been doing, we could say, can you see how we arrived at the value for your vehicle? You want to go ahead and title this in one name or two after they've obviously answered that. So can you see? So we want to thank Jeremiah Shelton for that sixth and final transitional closing statement that we can make to go ahead and give our transitional closes a lot more pop. Well, there you have it. The best type of closing questions you can ask to close your car deals and powerful transitional statements that you can make that give those closes a lot more power, professionalism, and a lot more personalization. If you'd like to get more videos, more information to improve your automotive selling skills, psychology to close more car deals, please go ahead and click on one of the videos that's going to be coming up right about now.